10 years, 20 trophies. The most dominant era any club has ever produced in English football history. And just like that, it's over. Pep Guardiola has left Manchester City. And football will never quite be the same again. But here's the question nobody is asking loudly enough right now. What actually happens next? Not just for City, but for the entire Premier League. Because Guardiola didn't just manage Manchester City. He changed English football forever. And understanding what comes after him tells us everything about where the game is heading. Let's break it down. First, let's establish just how historic this era actually was. Because I think people are going to look back in 20 years and realize they didn't fully appreciate what they were watching in real time. Pep Guardiola arrived at Manchester City in July 2016. At that point, City were a good team. They had money. They had ambition. But they weren't dominant. They weren't feared. They weren't the most successful club in English football history. 10 years later, they are all of those things. 20 major trophies. 6 Premier League titles. The Champions League. The treble in 2023. 4 consecutive league titles at one point. A level of sustained dominance that has never been seen in English football, ever. To put that in context, Alex Ferguson won 13 Premier League titles at Manchester United over 27 years. Guardiola won 6 in 10 years. Think about that ratio. Think about how extraordinary that is. And the way his teams played. That is what truly set this era apart. Guardiola didn't just win. He won beautifully. He won with a philosophy. Possession football. High pressing. Positional play. The false nine. The inverted fullback. Tactical innovations that have now been copied by managers all over the world. When Guardiola arrived in England, the Premier League was fast and physical. Direct. By the time he left, it was a tactical chess match. His influence on how English football is played is immeasurable. And now he's gone. His final words at Manchester City were genuinely emotional. He said, and I quote, "Don't ask me the reasons I'm leaving. There is no reason, but deep inside I know it's my time. Nothing is eternal. If it was, I would be here." That tells you everything about the man. He didn't leave because he was pushed out. He didn't leave because the squad was aging. He left because he felt it in his gut that his time was done. That is the mark of someone who genuinely understood what he had built and respected it enough to leave at the right moment. Now let's talk about what happens to Manchester City. This is the most fascinating question in English football right now. Because City face a challenge that has broken clubs before. How do you replace the irreplaceable? City have done one smart thing already. They have kept Guardiola connected to the club as a global ambassador with City Football Group. His technical knowledge and philosophy will still influence how they operate. That is clever management from the top. But on the pitch, they face a genuine crisis of identity. Guardiola's system was so specific, so detailed, so personalized to the players he chose and developed, that replacing it is not just about finding a new manager. It's about rebuilding an entire footballing philosophy. Whoever comes in next will face the hardest job in Premier League management. Not because the squad isn't good. Not because the money isn't there. But because every single fan, every single media outlet, every single comparison will be against Pep Guardiola. And nobody wins that comparison. This is actually good news for every other club in the Premier League. Because for 10 years, Guardiola's City were the ceiling. The standard everyone else was chasing. The team that made winning the title feel almost impossible for everyone else. Arsenal under Arteta have built something special. Liverpool under their new manager are resurgent. Manchester United under Carrick are rebuilding with genuine momentum. Chelsea are spending and pushing for consistency. Without Guardiola's City as the dominant force, the Premier League title race becomes genuinely open for the first time in years. That is exciting for football. Now let's talk about where Guardiola goes next. Because this story is far from over. He said he needs to rest. He said he won't be working for a while. And I believe him, at least in the short term. Jurgen Klopp said the same thing when he left Liverpool, and he has kept that promise. But Guardiola is 55 years old. He is at the peak of his managerial powers. And there are two jobs in world football that would tempt him out of retirement faster than anything else. The first is a national team. Guardiola has always said he wants to manage a national team at a World Cup. The 2026 World Cup is already underway. But the 2030 World Cup is 4 years away. A major nation could offer him the chance to win the one trophy that has eluded him, a World Cup. The second is a different club project entirely. Real Madrid will eventually need a new manager. The French national team will eventually look for someone. A blank canvas project where he can build again from scratch. My prediction: Guardiola takes 12 to 18 months off. Then he returns to football for one final project. Something completely different from what he's done before. And when he does, the whole football world will be watching. Because that is the thing about Pep Guardiola. Even in absence, he dominates the conversation. 20 trophies. 10 years. One of the greatest managers who ever lived. What a time it has been. What do you think? Where does Pep Guardiola go next? And will anyone at City ever match what he built? Drop your opinion in the comments. Like and subscribe.